that part. So like people that don't know about the pre-party can join the pre-party. But what's going good? I thought two things that if anyone wanted to pop off and share is, one is anything that's going well that you're grateful for. I mean, we've all accomplished change so much. So if you want to just share something good, it can be whatever is good for you. Or any of our like pros running 10K and above, like anything that you've implemented or just want to share some insight on that's just like really good. We're all just teaching each other the same stuff and helping each other grow. So one of those two things, pop off. Let's hear it. I know the coffee may have not kicked in, so just go ahead and kick it off. I actually showered today, so like I'm ahead of normally where I am. So yeah, who wants to share this morning?
I'll share it, Brad. Since I'm in the future and my coffee's kicked in. No, you know what is really fun? Tim and I took a trip last weekend and it was more focused on family. You know, we had some celebrations and all. And I realized that I could work smarter and not harder again. It was something that I had not recalibrated on in a while. Our business was great. We moved things forward last week, but you know what? We are able to really use the time blocking for family and to be present. So just a reminder that, you know, if you find yourself tail spinning a little bit, thinking that you're not in your groove, you know, just refocus. You're not 24/7 and it works just fine.
I love that. Always learning, going back to the basics, learning new things about ourselves. And yes, you did get to spend time with family. Another cool thing, like all over the place traveling, you can do this from anywhere.
I'm going to call on Lynette.
You're going to call on Lynette. Awesome.
I'm going to call on Lynette only because I can tell she's just like ready to come off mute. She's like pouncing.
Hey, Brad. So last week when we were doing, was that just last week we were doing the sponsoring training, or was that the week before? I forget. But anyway, I had kind of a cool thing that happened when Dan Valentine was talking about where to, you know, inviting people to that call on that Thursday night. I had kind of a, you know, aha moment. He was talking about where to find, you know, which of your clients would be good candidates for that. And so he mentioned to think about those candidates that had canceled their B Slims or were pushing their orders back. And I had just had a lady do that on Tuesday. She was like, I'm not going to order this month. And immediately I'm thinking, oh, she's going to cancel and she's done. She's going to quit. She's done really well, but what's going on? So anyway, I just said, sure, you can push it back into December. And I didn't overreact. Like I, you know, didn't just assume she was canceling it. And she wasn't. She just, you know, didn't need as much that month. And so anyway, when Dan mentioned that, I just thought, you know what, I think she'd be an awesome coach. So I invited her to the call. And right after the call on that Thursday night, she sent me a text and said, I watched this for a courtesy just for you. But she said, it impacted me so heavily. She said, I never imagined that call could impact me. And she said, this is amazing. She said, I got off the phone with my husband and he said, well, what was it like? And she said, I have no words. She just was speechless. And she said, I'm not one to be speechless or not have words. And so she was so excited, just fell in love with the integrity of the company, just said so many amazing things. And she had so many insights, you know, just clearly cut from the cloth of what we're looking for. So anyway, she's my new coach. So I was pretty excited about that.
Lynette, congratulations. That is a great share. I can see why Dawn knew that you wanted to share that. Congratulations, and completely set up our topic for today, because we're going to break down supporting our clients and a lot of his mindset and those things, like us focusing on people, integrating people to what we have. That's you literally summed it up, Lynette. This is setting us up for today perfectly. Congratulations on that. That's amazing. So I love it. All right. We could probably have a bunch of people share, but we're over 7 o'clock and everyone's starting to wake up. So we are going to kick off. First, before we jump in, grab the chat. Make sure it's open on your screen. There's two things. One, kudos to the people that share our aha moments, like drop them in the chat, or questions. Dawn, I'm going to have you like double check the chat today, because what I mentioned last night on that video that I talked about is like, bring your questions on this. We're going to dive into it this week and then a little bit more next week. The nuances of supporting our clients and integrating them well. So, but before we even do that, I want to know, like, I see like everyone across the country. I see East Coasters. I see Cindy. You're in Mexico now, like talking about freedom. Where's everyone tuning in from this week? I want to see. It's so cool that we're all together, same place on Saturday mornings. Some are just a little bit later in the day. see a lot of people with sunlight in the background. That means you're not in the Northwest. All righty. All right, let me share my screen and we'll pop into it. I love it. Everyone's tuning in from everywhere. All right. All right, guys, we got a lot to cover today. We want to end on time. And I told you guys, hopefully you have your coffee in your system because, like, you guys got me jacked up. Like, I don't even know why. I just was like, I'm looking at victories left and right, people having all house. Mostly, you guys are just being consistent and doing the things that we talk about in here. And it's showing up and changing lives, changing your business. Like, Lee, I loved when I made the video last night and I was talking about, yeah, we're talking about the basics every single week. You're like, yep, I do the basics. Lee runs like one of the highest frontline volumes in our entire organization. It is the basics every single time. So congrats to my friends that are committed to being consistent. Like, it's stupid easy how easy this is to change lives, but it only comes to those that know how to be consistent. So well done. I love spending the morning with you guys. Let's rock and roll. I actually want to start out with this slide this morning because, again, like, why I'm so excited, you guys are getting wins. I had all kinds of calls this week where I would call their, like, turning points for people. They're like, okay, it's not quite like it is like we talk about, and then we kind of break down a little bit more, and then they make those shifts, and like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. Like, Dan the man, gonna congratulate you. You were like had some questions on what we talked about. You immediately implemented it, and then like got a text later that night, you know, to me, Brad, Lori, and was like, oh my gosh, that totally worked. So congrats, because that way you guys don't have to go through what we, like Don, Susan, I, Candy, Casey, like a lot of the people have been here for a while, like, we know, we learned the hard way. We're making it easier for you. So that's what success looks like. Just want to congratulate you guys on the squiggly lines, the less squiggly lines, but embrace those squiggly lines, because if you're got a squiggly line, it means you're learning and you're becoming efficient. This slide right here, you know, I'm just thinking about this week. This isn't exactly the exact representation. Yes, you want to stay consistent. That's where the gold comes from. That's where the diamonds are at. There are diamonds all along the way. It's not like they're all just waiting there at the end. The diamonds just get bigger as you stay more consistent. So stay the course, my friends. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys are doing it. I'm not even really break this down. We know what we're doing here. This training is for senior coaches and above. Moving your business forward, becoming a great coach. If you're brand new, welcome to our group. Sorry that I'm so intense this morning, but it's because everyone's like so on it today. And just overall, like, you guys know it's November. Apparently our numbers don't know it because we're tracking for the biggest month yet. People are reaching for executive directors. You guys are becoming pros and coaching your clients, not on a diet. So much great stuff. We have Thanksgiving later this week, so we'll break down an action step on that. But you guys know what we're doing here. We've covered the last few weeks moving into the flow. We really talked about structure. I'm not going to really recap everything we've covered, but the point is today is if you put your structure in place, today is going to make a lot of sense. Lynette, your win came from good structure. I know that to be true. And I know anyone here having those results have good structure. And just like anything, I'm all about the fun. And the more you have structure, the more you, like, my wife's a genius, in case you guys don't know. She's the actual brains behind this operation. And she says, structure allows, like, if you let your structure do the work for you, it allows you to have more fun, to focus on relationships. You don't have to think. You let your structure go over that. We're going to cover a little bit of that today. But when you got your structure set up, it makes everything really, really easy. So congrats to you that have done it. Your numbers show it. And just super amazed and proud of you, all you guys. So awesome. We're going to jump in today. What we're covering today, some structure stuff. Guys, I talked to you guys last night. Like, what is checking my business, doing a mid-month assessment? What does that have to do with anything about helping people? We will show you. Hopefully it'll blow your mind. For those that do it, it won't blow your mind because you do it. Susan's going to cover a little bit of like gems on follow-up. We're going to do a little bit of a share call and health assessment review. Lindsay covered it amazing last week, but just like anything, this is like the lifeblood of your coaching. Like, I'm always refining this, coming back to this, just like a world-class, musician always practices, goes back to their basics. That's like literally the starting point. And then we're going to cover just some key things, the start of the process of bringing on your clients, supporting them and integrating them well in the first 30 days. What does it look like to integrate clients? What are the little things that you do? How do you keep it simple? Referrals and coaches, because if you do it easy, that will come from it. That's the gauge on that. So middle of the month pulse check. Let's see here. All right, Don, that was the recap. You know the layout of today. Anything you want to add to what we were covering here today?
No, I'm just so excited to get into it and like just quick recap of the mid-month pulse check, but Brad, you're right, because what you're going to share here, just the mid-month pulse check, if people are wondering what it has to do with actually helping people, it has everything to do with actually helping people.
Yes, you are correct. I'm sorry, I had to grab a glass of water. So there are things, like we talked about structure. And when you put this in, you don't have to think about it. It makes you more efficient. Everything works better. So I have the pulse check picture on here because it gives you a feel of what's happening. And also I put a picture of the swimmer. Why did I do that? Well, because I was thinking about it as I came up for this. And we all have swam for the most part here. Like most of us have probably swam in our life. And you know, there's a difference between us that just would go out swimming and our techniques and our efficiency and those that are world-class at it and do it well. Did you know there's even a system for how they breathe, a technique that makes it very efficient, that allows them to be world-class and go faster and push themselves? Well, when you put this in, you don't have to think about things. It's kind of like that, how you come up for air. You can do it like how I do it, like not efficiently, and I'm like kind of drowning and, you know, like not efficiently at all, or you could do it like a world-class Olympic swimmer. So this is a recap just so people can understand the flow of how you do it. We've kind of covered it through just the month of working on this, kind of reminded you, but here's how the pros do it. And I could give you some reasons for it, but I'm just gonna hit it really quickly. The number one reason I'll give you is the people that help the most people and are the best coaches do exactly this. That's the only thing I got for you today, because that's really all that matters. Do what the people do that are successful. That's the number one thing I've learned through this, because there's a reason. Connect with your support team at the start of the month. So key. Like, not to report anything, not because they're a boss, but because that's the best time to connect, to learn the next steps, you know, create a vision. You know, your income's probably growing if you're getting good at helping people. Look at your map, learn little nuances, become a pro, get some insight, next steps, and just overall in general, when your support team knows your plan, you guys can partner on that. Yeah, you know what's going on if they're not sitting there guessing. So that's so key at the beginning of the month. And you guys like just blowing up at the beginning of the month, like always like, okay, clear the schedule at the beginning of the month because people are hungry and want to grow. So just a recap of that. And just also that no one's ever done, like Dawn, like you actually grabbed my first time. You asked for 7 a.m. on the first day of the month. Like, pros do this and they keep it simple, and that's what they do. Connect again around the 15th or the 18th of the month. This is a good time to do a pulse check. Always working closely with your support team. Again, you might connect again for a little huddle up around the 22nd if you're rocking and rolling or running with people or different things are happening or you're stretching for things, just because a lot can happen in that week. And then finish up the month strong. And guys, we all know how many days in there are in a month. Plan your month to finish up on the day before the last day of the month so you can enjoy those smiley faces, so you can kick back, enjoy, and maybe start planning ahead for next month. Like that is the flow of how you do it like a pro. So the 15th through the 18th, because a lot of people are like, okay, what should I be doing right now? Some of you guys, this has become like habit for you, and you're already like, you don't even have to worry about it. Add this into your schedule as a reoccurring thing. It's in my schedule every single month on the 15th. Like, I have a notification. Again, I let the structure do the work for me. This is a good time to come up for air, like the swimmers, and check your progress. You don't want to be constantly checking your numbers, all these things like that. You want to just be doing action and just doing the flow of what we teach, like making connections, all of those things. This is what an ideal setup would look like to keep your coaching really simple. Reach out to your support team and grab a time to connect, 20 or 30 minutes, just around this time. You know, just check your map, review what you wrote down. Sometimes like, oh man, that's what I wanted to work on this month. The progress you've made, what's going well, seeds you're planting, maybe adjustments you can make along the way. There's always something that you can get with a spotter looking at your business and just the guidance like that they have because they've done the work learning how to do this. Some things that are good to check around this time, if you already haven't done it, is your current frontline volume today. By the way, I congratulate all the people that are 4,000 and above yesterday. Those people are tracking and can't easily be at 10,000 and above by the end of the month. So just like, where are you at today? How many B-Slims do you have left to process? What's your map look like? How many clients, coaches, how is everything going on with that? Like, just not to be like, what am I doing? What am I good at? But more just like to get an assessment. The pros always assess how they're doing on that because it gets you to be a pro. I was thinking about this, Dawn, you and I chatted about this. It's kind of like, because I'm a new parent, then for the second time. When Winton was born, I was like freaking out all the time. Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? It was not efficient at all. And now with practice and like studying and getting better at it and going through it one time, like I don't even have to think about a lot of this stuff. It just happens. So that's why you do this, because it helps you be like, just, you don't have to think about it. So how is everything going? What's working? What needs to be adjusted? And where do I want to be by the end of the month? That is the perfect thing to just make it easy and simple. And not to forget, because a lot of people forget to do this, celebrate your success. Don't forget about the people you're helping. And I think I wasn't planning on talking this, but one thing I feel like people don't do enough is remember how much they've accomplished, how much they've learned, what they're doing, how many lives they're changing. Don't forget to put that in there, or else, it's just a good reminder. Just assessing your current action, what needs to be done, and achieving your desired outcome by the end of the month makes things so much clearer. Because like Dr. A teaches us, and like how we coach our clients, when you know what your goal is, the action starts to just become clear, and what you do daily without even thinking about it. It's like habits of health before our business. Crazy. So anyways, if you haven't done that yet, highly recommend doing it. How does this help you support your clients better? Because some of you that are new are like, how does assessing my business, this seems really businessy. How does this actually help clients? Well, I will tell you. So actually, you know what? I will have Dawn tell you. Dawn, real quick, I wasn't going to have you talk about this, but what are some of the things you've noticed in the people that do this and what it's done for you in just coming up for air? Like in just the vein of like, how does that actually translate to being a better coach to your clients?
Well, I love that, Brad, because actually what probably a lot of people on the line don't know is I'm the one who asked Brad that question probably 50,000 times. Well, what does it have to do with actually helping people, Brad? Like that's numbers and these are people. Like how do they meld together? What does that mean? And when I started actually doing that several years ago, it made all the difference because you know where you're at. You can come up for air. You can slow down. You can assess where are things going well, what's working, what am I having fun doing. You can look back over the previous 14 or 15 days of the month, like all those conversations you've started, all those people you've talked to, all the relationships that you're getting, just into and moving forward. And you can understand where you're at. And for those of you who have team, understand where they're at and help them take that pulse check, help them come up for air. Because if you were going on a road trip, you would stop and make sure you were on the right track most of the time, right? Before you just kind of keep blindly driving towards a destination. So really understanding where you're at, understanding the trends, just getting a feel for it, and it's practice. The more you do it, honestly, the more fun it becomes. It kind of gives you a chance to get a fresh perspective, understand, where you're at based on what you said at the beginning of the month that you really wanted to create. And that all is linked to lives being changed. You get to see where you're at, and then you get to get excited about it again. Up your action. You get that second set of eyes on it to maybe, troubleshoot or brainstorm. It's tons of fun. I will always, Brad, the 15th of the month, grab you. So I've got a second set of eyes on what's going on. And then you can just really make efficient use of your time for the last half of the month. You can really dial in where you're going to put your time, what your focus is, who you're running with, who are going to be the next people that are going to get started on their path to health or join the mission to help others. And what's the one step that would move them closer to that? So you can really get efficient.
Exactly. So awesome. Good explanation. And to prove that point, for those that are doing this and have seen a difference, drop me a 1 in the chat if you've started doing this regularly and it's made a massive impact in your coaching ability and to your clients. Let's see here. 1, me, 1. Yep. A couple 1s from Dan. I love it. The last thing is here with practice. The numbers tell you everything. It's like giving you a crystal ball. Low orders probably means a client, like it doesn't tell you exactly what's happening, but you can almost tell what's happening from numbers. So like looking at your clients, like maybe someone doesn't have a B slim. We've all had I think everyone in the world's had a bad auto ship experience. So they don't understand the value of ours. Maybe they canceled and you didn't know. Like you want to get to that. Maybe some things are off. Maybe they push their order out a few weeks, which probably means they have something going on. It gives you a clue before you call your client. Lower orders, it means, well, they obviously don't have enough food to be on. It gives you understanding of where it's at. Plus, you get to just look at all your clients and kind of get a catch up on all of it. Is put in your mind to inspect what you expect. That's what makes you a better coach. And before you know it, like I had so many conversations this week where I'm like, I just look at numbers and I'm like, hey, is this going on? They're like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. How'd you know that? I'm like, because like you see the numbers, like the numbers tell you almost everything. So that's why. Have fun learning this as you kind of have those ahas. Dawn, I think you put it really well in there. So that's very awesome. So that's what to do around this time of the month. If you haven't yet, go plug that into your schedule like auto. It's like Groundhog's Day, except it happens every month in the middle of the month. That's what to do. Just put it on autopilot, make your job really easy. Spend less time trying to catch up on what you should be doing. Just set that one oh, I'm gonna come up for air. It's just like our client check-in day. You don't have to worry about how all your clients are doing. You just have to be that one day, you'll catch up on everything. So that's that topic. If you have more questions on it, ask your support team. But I would just say do it because the pros do it and make your life very, very simple. I'm going to turn over to Susan LaBelle for a second because a lot of people have questions on follow-up. A lot of everyone here is doing their connections. And for those that want to be very consistent at it, they're actually following that 3-and-3 format of making connections, being out there, talking with people. So key. But follow-up becomes a big part of this. And a lot of people are like, well, how does that actually look? What does it look like relational-wise? So, Susan, will you drop some knowledge bombs on us as far as how follow-up works, how to go about doing it, and how someone like yourself hasn't run out of clients in 10 years of doing this, and what that looks like for you?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I love it. I'll share. I have one quick slide I can share with you guys. But as I'm pulling that up, how many of you guys think you have the superpower of remembering everything in your brain? I think I thought that was me, have a capacity to remember everybody, and when and when they called, I would know exactly where they were. And I honestly played that game for a long time, and it was when I look back, it was a lot of wasted energy. Is really what it came down to. And so I had sticky notes, you can just blink if this is related to you. I had notes in on my messenger. I had notes in my notes section on my phone. I used to take health assessments on random pieces of paper. And sometimes I would actually use the health assessment. It was yay, but then I would put it in a different pile. And so when that person, I think my big awakening was I had someone call and say, Susan, I'm ready to get started. And I'm I didn't even remember necessarily the conversation, which was a good thing because I'd had a lot of conversations with people, but I also couldn't find the information, and I had to kind of fake it till I made it. Okay. And so I've had to learn the structure of follow-up. So there, as much as we're all really doing a lot of things really well, I love this, the structure of checking our business, also the structure of staying in connections, the 3-3-3, that is part of your follow-up, you guys. So many of you guys don't realize you're actually doing a really great job with that, but it's about creating a system and consistency. So those are my 2 words for you when it comes to follow-up. If you can remember, be systematic and stay consistent. So what is the system of follow-up? What I love is no health assessment is wasted, meaning I look at everything, whether they're ready yet or whether they're ready now or ready in the future. There's someone that goes into my follow-up, my binder. I keep all their health assessments all together because they're going to say yes in the future. But immediately after that call, I start my follow-up then. I love to send them a little hey, it was so great connecting with you. And I make that text really personal. I loved what you shared about wanting to ride horses one day, or something just to show I'm listening to them. I may even share a before and after of a story I think that they would really connect with or relate to. So my follow-up starts immediately after that health assessment. And then my second is I schedule on my calendar the next time to follow up. So if you're using your phone, you can set a reminder so it reminds you. And what is the appropriate, I get this question a lot, how often, what's the appropriate? I think if they're checking with their husband or they're looking at, what is something like that, I think 2 days is an appropriate follow-up. But use your gut. Some people, it's a week from them. Hey, so I'll follow up with you in a week. But I think that immediate text kind of sets that precedence of, kind of opens the door for follow up. So if you use paper calendar, write it down a week from that day and say follow up with John Smith. So you have it actually set in your calendar. And then organizing your health assessment. So put your health assessments all into one place. I have had a lot of success of using a binder. So once I've done it and taken it, they either go into my success system, right? They're either going in as a yes or they're going in as a future client into my binder. So as I've created a systematic way for follow-up and setting the precedents, it's made things way clearer and saved a lot of energy. So the question I ask myself is most people follow-up takes 8 to 12, maybe even 15, like touch points or engagements or however you want to look at it. And I utilize my 3, 3, and 3 as part of that. Is maybe that's one of the messages, is one of my touch points with somebody. But the question I like to ask, and I look at every person separately, is I say their name and I ask, what is the next step to bring this person closer to a yes? So sometimes it is a direct invite to the call that's being offered on Thursday night, or to an event we're having locally, or just a direct reach out and saying like, hey, I know, they'd said maybe after around the holidays they wanted to get started. It's like, hey, it is November and I'm so excited to support you to your goals. And I just make a direct invite to get started. Like, let's do this. Other times it's just, I need to comment on their vacation and say, that looked, like your vacation looked amazing. Can't wait to hear about it. So follow-up can look different. And I use different modalities. I use texting. I use Messenger. It's not like a one-trick pony here, but every time I consider like a touch point or an engagement point. And I know after 8 to 10 to 12, I stay in their world. I am bringing them closer to a yes. And I think the most important part of like follow-up for myself has been actually time blocking it into my week, like making it a key part of what I do, knowing that I don't want to leave people behind. Those people when I had someone call and I'm like, I don't even remember the conversation. Guys, I was missing people. I was forgetting people. My bad. My bad. So I initially set it on a Wednesday. I bumped it to a Thursday. Now I'm doing my follow-up on Friday. And what I'm finding about Fridays, pick your day, find what works for your schedule, is people get paid on Friday. And people are in great moods on Friday. Like I call them, it's the end of their week. They're excited about their weekend. I actually find weekends like today, maybe even right after this call, you could schedule an hour follow-up because people have more time on the weekends. They're in a great mood. They're excited to chat with you about their goals. They're not stressed about their 9 to 5 job. So just block it in. That's the most important part. And, and have your follow-up, system in place. And then my last encouragement, you guys, is to start now. I actually heard about follow-up. I didn't have a great system for, I hate to admit it, probably 3 years. And I'm always tweaking it. It's getting better. It's getting better. Right. And, I heard about it and I think it felt overwhelming. So it had so many conversations and stuff everywhere. And it just was, it took me about 3 to 4 hours to get it organized. I remember being like, so this is what I've been procrastinating on for 3 years, for this 3 to 4 hour block to get organized with my follow-up. And if you're brand new, just start now. Grab an extra binder to track all your health assessments that are your future clients. And that would be my biggest encouragement, is make this a key part of your structure for your week, because we don't want to leave people behind. This is not about having just to embrace structure, but it's about helping all those people that are reaching out and having a system so that we don't forget about them, that it's tracking into our week, and that we're being systematic and we're being consistent. So with that, Brad, I'll pass it back over to you.
Awesome, Susan. I love it. Very good example. And I love what you shared there, because it really just shows the same thing has happened to me. Like sometimes it's reshoring it up. Sometimes it's like coming back to it. Sometimes it's just getting started doing it and that it doesn't look perfect. The number one victory is actually setting aside the time to do it. Because if you're there, your mind's there, it's like how Dan Valentine talked about it in the video, the 3, 3, and 3 and making connections. It's like brushing your teeth. Eventually it just becomes habit, so eventually becomes a part of it. So I love the examples, the touches. 3, 3, and 3 is part of it, and just being in relationship and bringing value to people. So do it because it works. That's what we got for you. So if that's something you want to put into your thing this week or work on this week, that's why we have this training, to help us just reinforce the basics, what's missing or what needs to be shored up. Kind of like our health journeys. Like, anyone here perfect the entire time? No, I'm always coming back to oh man, why did I forget about my prep day? Gosh, no wonder my house has not got good with stuff. Anyways, you guys get the point. Put it in there. Susan, great job of helping us remember, of bringing value to people, and that people aren't just going to chase us down. We have to be on purpose with those connections and making it simple. So love it. Great, because I got a lot of questions this week. Like, what does that look like? And it just shows you that if you do it, there's just endless amounts of people to help. So, and who am I talking to? You guys are all seeing it because you guys are bringing on people like crazy. So you guys know this. Keep practicing. Stay consistent. I'm going to do a quick recap. Lindsay, Lindsay, you killed it last week on this breakdown. I had so many people comment on how the health assessment and going over the share call really assisted them. And honestly, it's usually people's biggest breakthrough in this. Like, it's like Suzanne, like I remember you, Nicole, and Denise and I got on a call because you really wanted to learn this. And that was actually a breakthrough for making a lot of connections with your clients. It all starts with this. So we want to do a quick recap because it's just like coming back to the basics on this stuff. So here is the health assessment. If you guys don't have multiple of these printed out already, I would highly recommend doing it. Lindsay mentioned doing that. But essentially it is a front page. Wait, that's the wrong one. So this is the standalone page. I should have mine laminated like Lindsay. Again, we're all shoring up things. Like, that'll be my thing. I'll get this laminated this week. Thanks for the reminder, Lindsay. So this goes over how to explain our program. The back is how to invite. So this is the one that you can just like come back to each time. It can be laminated in your folder. But the actual health assessment for our clients that we track on is 2 pieces of paper. It's this one where we find out about their health and what they're wanting to accomplish. The back side that has like notes and like some other things you'll go over in the first few days. And then a second document that kind of has a structured layout of how we support clients that helps best support them. So we don't, again, back to the structure. So we don't have to think about it. We just have to follow along with them. So that's what the health assessment looks like. Just to kind of do a quick recap on it, Lindsay covered all this stuff perfectly. Invite to explore. Allison covered this really well in the last Coffee and Consistency. If you're not inviting, then you're missing the boat. You're missing the invitation to the party. Be bold. You're the guide from day one. Phone, Zoom, or in person, whichever floats your boat. But phone is a really easy, it's just an easy way to connect with people. It's like the easiest form of them connecting. Zoom's awesome too because you can see them face to face or in person. But I would encourage you guys that a lot of times people will ask for in person because they don't know that it could be different. Like, I've had people that are like, oh, can we meet next week at your house? It's because they don't know that we could just do a phone call. And so just kind of just all those basic things for all you new coaches that are getting this down. There's no wrong way to do a share. But I will encourage you to think about what's your duplication process. Because everything you do for your client, if you really want to share our full offer in here, and you guys all know how great coaching has changed your life, what you do, how easy are you making it look for them to do that? Some of you, if you're sponsoring, is not actually looking close to a 5-in-1, you might check where your duplication is at on this. And how, one, if you're just even focusing on that, Lynette, like your sharing of that at the beginning of the call was so spot on. But what are we doing to actually model this and make it simple for people? We'll get to a little bit more of that later. You go 20 to 30 minutes probably, so you can schedule them in the pockets. 45 minutes if it goes long. Don't be afraid of spending time with people on the front end, but that's really how long they generally take. For the first 30 to 5, of your new coaches on here, utilize your support team or more. Like, I bring Terry and David on as many calls as I can. Like, more support shows people that you care. Like, that's the best thing to do. And plus, you just always learn something new. It's a conversation. Lindsay, you hit that really well last week. Don't read the health assessment, you guys. Like, don't, for the love of God, please don't. It's a conversation, and it's a really good conversation flow. It's not a script because we don't have scripts. You can't have a script for a conversation. But if you follow the layout of it, it is beautiful, and you'll see it come to fruition every time. And again, Lindsay, you covered this all so well last week. Spend the time up front and explain how it'll look. You're helping someone make a decision to create a healthy lifestyle and join a lifestyle change program. So spending some time up front is worth it, in the front end for doing that. Be bold. You've got the goods. If you at all have anything creeping around your head that's like, oh, I hope they don't think I want them to buy anything or any of that stuff, or I don't know if this is a fit, then you don't understand people. Sorry, I'm being a little bold this morning. If you have anything creeping in, then you're not as bulletproof and understanding what we are offering people as you could be. And if they are reaching out to you, it means that you are changing your health and they want part of it too. Sorry to be bold on this. I just watch so many people get like, oh man, I don't want to bug them. Guys, what we have is amazing. And here's a little thing. I'll have maybe Casey speak on this next week from someone that has seen every bit of nutrition from left and right to know what we're offering people. Be bold. If they're talking to you, they want it. It's our job to just make the connections and focus on them. Layer full health coaching, and referrals and our full program from the start. If you're just talking about the food, might as well just send someone to Jenny Craig because they're getting a diet. Sorry, but Brad unplugged today. Hopefully, Antonio's smiling and laughing at me, so hopefully this is helpful for you guys. But just some things to take away that Lindsay covered on the call last week. So spot on. Remember, for all you new coaches getting practice at this, and for honestly, all you seasoned veterans, it's always the same. We all get the how questions. Remember why before the how. You can't explain anything until you know the why, and you're going to get how questions. And it's because people don't know how to ask the right questions. Just like how, anyways, I'm not going to digress. You're going to get how much does it cost? Is it like this? How does it work? How much does it cost? You're going to get that a lot. In fact, that's what people ask because they don't know how to ask any other questions. What does the food taste like? Oh, blah, 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 whatever. That's not the point. We don't want to not care about what they're asking. But if you find yourself getting how questions, bring it back to a why question. You can't explain how until you know whys. So just so you know, we all get them. It's all good. Let's see here. Going to the next one. My screen's good. Hold on a second. Kelly, oh no, we were joking about that. This has happened to me now. My computer's freezing.
Brad, while you're fixing your computer, can I just pop in and say, so we all are going to get these questions, right? Because it's natural for people to be like, so how much does it cost and what's it like and all that stuff. I love to say, that's a great question and I'm excited to answer that. Can you tell me a little more about something else? Like, so I do flip it around and ask them a question to get more to their why, but I acknowledge the fact that they've asked it. I let them know it's a great question and that we will be answering it, but I need a little more information to give them the best answer. So I don't know if that helps people out there, but I think sometimes people are like, eek, I got the question. How much does it cost? Okay, don't be afraid of that. It's less than what they're probably spending by lunch every day. So know that, and then just let them know that's a great question. This is probably going to save you money. But let's talk a little bit about what a typical day looks like for you, and then we'll really figure out what that will be. Brad, did it really freeze? Like
it's like your worst nightmare. It's like
totally frozen.
I'll build on what Don said just because we're talking about this while Brad works. This happened to me on Habits of Health. That's why we're laughing about it. But in general, Don, I love that, that's what I'm shaking my head. Yes, because we love that question because it really is a fact about what we're going to help them do. But it's about saying, well, it really depends on what you want to accomplish and let's just talk about that. Don't be afraid. I love that, Don. I'm just going to build on that. Don't be afraid of that question. Be very proud of the value that we're able to bring into people's lives and the things that we're able to help them accomplish because of partnering with them. So it is take a breath, right? Because we all get the question, and know that you can go into it based on still focusing on them. So that art of asking questions, well, let's just talk about what you're really wanting to accomplish, and we'll unpack what we're able to do in this program for you.
I love that, Kelly.
All right.
Yeah, I pretty much love all those questions because I know it gives us it gives us an avenue to ask them more questions and to fully understand what it is they're looking for.
Okay, hold on.
So I'll add one more, and the art of asking questions there while Brad's gonna share more with us to come. The art of asking a question too is about learning more about them because we're filling out that health assessment. So remembering that this art of asking questions isn't deflecting that question. You're going to gather more information. So take it in, but finding out more. That's what the health assessment really is a great where it's a really great guide and tool, because as you get to know them more, this is what we do. We talk about it. We're relational. And as you can fill in more details, what does that look like for you? Who in your world is supporting you on this? Just keep, I love Jamil Fraser says often, or at least it hits me, a lot of our leaders say it, if you can come away from a conversation knowing way more about that person than they do about you, it's been a successful conversation because you've been interested and not interesting. And this is where we build into that trust for our new clients, potential clients. Like Susan said, everybody's a potential client, goes on a health assessment when you start the conversation about what they're looking for. So that's one thing that I do love to almost, challenge myself. Did I learn a lot more about them than they learned about me in that conversation, and then only about how the program is going to work for their life?
All right. Did I fix it? Good. My PowerPoint just completely froze. I had to restart it all.
You can see it, Brad.
But you know what? Here's also a good lesson too for everyone. Everything goes the way it's supposed to go anyway. So just roll with it. I think that was actually meant to be the lesson. Like, you can try to plan for a call like this, but if you're focused on this, don't be tied to how the outcome's gonna go. Lindsay did a great job talking about that last week. Let me see if this is gonna, yeah, that worked. All right, cool. Great additions there, Dawn and Kelly. Like, good reference that, and also the chat, Cindy, you shared some good stuff in there as well. So just a quick recap, because that kind of ate up some of our time. I want to make sure we get done on time here today. Is the same calls go about the same way. You welcome them and intro them. Help them feel orientated to the conversation, comfortable right away. This is about them. We focus on asking them questions in first, our first awakening, health, weave their story. A lot of people don't even know what they're trying to accomplish. You know, for those that are new about this, Kelly's nodding there. Most people don't even know what it actually looks like that they want. They just know they don't want to be where they're at. For those that know coaching well, that's not a goal. You can't get to what you want by knowing what you don't want. Share the program, make the matches, share the 4 components, layer the full program. Then you're gonna like ask questions, because they're gonna be putting this all together. They're gonna have clarification questions, and then invite them to get started. If you're not inviting, if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat. I used to be afraid of doing that. Be bold, show them, invite. If you're really caring, they'll know that like they can get started. However, so anyways, we'll get into that. And then lastly, leave them with the next steps, last questions, layering referral and coaching, like that art form of building that relationship. Just so you guys know, if you guys take anything one way of this, find out what people want, share boldly, and build a relationship, letting them know you're going to help them get what they want. My gauge for a call is not how perfect I do a health assessment, but it's how good of a connection I make, how much I understand what that person wants, and how much we laugh during the call, to be like completely honest with you. This is building a relationship. So just a good review. Kelly and Kelly, Tim, and Lindsay, you guys covered that really well last week. So again, just as a visual layout, I'm a visual learner. This is what I'm looking at a health assessment when I have it in front of me. Cool, I'm gonna look at this. Okay, cool, I'm gonna intro the conversation and just welcome to the conversation. I really feel like the next part is like, looks like these 3 areas. I'm gonna ask questions. I honestly don't read these things. I just look and I wanna know about them. Tell me a little about what your health looks like, or what are we chatting about today? Why'd you reach out? Like, I don't know, it depends how the conversation started, but I wanna know about them. And honestly, some people are weirded out by that, not in a bad way, but in a good way. Like, why do you care what I want? Like, aren't you supposed to be telling me something? So anyways, like, find out what they want. I just think in my head, 5 to 6 questions at least till I know what their health looks like, and opening up the door a little bit further. Just asking good questions is good. There is the weave your story in there, but here's the thing, guys. No one cares about your story. They just want to know it's going to work for them. So use your story to be short and to validate something that's authentic and that relates to their story to help give them confidence. The daily habits and routines, these are great to talk about because it really opens up that it's not just about the weight loss. But don't try to talk about all of them, would be my suggestion in a call, because it's a lot of stuff to talk about. I just usually pick 2 or 3, but I definitely, that's why I got a smiley face, I always ask about the eating habits. It gives me a picture into their life. And most people, here's the thing, just being bold again, unplugged today. If people are actually understand what it costs to eat and actually have any idea of what good nutrition is, this program is a steal. So just know that for you guys, if someone's comprehend or it has understanding of this area, they will be like, oh my gosh, that's it? Or where most people are at, it just is the way it is. They have no idea what it's like. They think this is an additional cost. Like, they don't even know what their budget is. Like, so you want to know this not only to get an idea of their life, it lets you a little bit more of their life, but you're making it easy for them to explain program. Because usually most people, Don, we do calls all the time. Most of the time people will be like, oh yeah, well I get coffee in the morning, or oh, I eat out for lunch every day on my lunch break. Well, there you go. There's program right there. We're saving money right there alone. And cool, you want to be home earlier because you don't have to take a lunch anymore. Fantastic, rock on. Or let's become a coach, because now you have all these extra hours in the day that you used to spend going and getting food, and you're saving money. All right, anyways, so those are just some good questions to ask, but I like to honestly ask about sleep and motion and eating habits or stress. I just go with where the conversation goes. And like Lindsay said, it's okay if they start talking about motion before you finish all this stuff. If you bounce around, it's all good. It's a combo. That's the way I kind of look at it. Then once you find out a little about what they want, move into explaining the program, or maybe they'll ask how it works, but you move into that section. Use this area. Literally, I start off by saying 4 components. They're so vital because they all work together. That's what makes the difference. And maybe share how that made a difference for you, or maybe if they shared something earlier in the call, maybe you already gave right to that, kind of like Lindsay said last week. Hit those 4 components: your coach, the habits of health system, the community, and the fuelings. And these are the things, I won't go over all of it today, but just I like to really make sure a couple things is that, one, people know that our fueling plan is a lifestyle change support program. So like, this is here to help them make a lifestyle change, not for them to eat diet food. There's a couple different options we can explore. I mean, they're going to do 5 and 1 probably, but I want to make sure they know, because you can't say no to options. You can only talk about different options. But if you just say 5 and 1, you can say no to 5 and 1. Does that make sense? Like, if you're only, but also people want to be given, they want to make it easy. Like, think about where you guys were. You just want to do something, probably, that if you were like me. So 1 or 2 options based on what you heard, maybe 4 and 2, maybe, you know, whatever the case is, you know, but lay out a couple options. That way you can explore. Like, I did a call with someone on 2 days ago, and the person honestly ended up choosing a 4 and 2 randomly, just because we talked about the option. That's what the fit was. So again, that's great. If you do explain fat burning, just explain the basics. I'm here, you know, the support, first few days, fat burning, 5 meals, lean and green, simple. People like to hear the word simple. Guide, on the go, like, they're all laid out for you. Recipe ideas, simplicity. Mention high energy, you know, mention low hunger, and just, but honestly, it just helps you build a healthy lifestyle and build habits 1 step at a time. And like Lindsay said, it's about practice. You know, we're going to work on this together. You really orientate them into that. They'll ask some questions, maybe explain how it works to get started, and, you know, kind of explain that. Like, that's kind of the 2 sections. I look at it as explaining program and kind of explaining how the program works. So, and then on this, lastly, just ask if they have any questions. That'll be the clarifying thing, and that's where you guys can have some more conversation on that. Once you've answered those questions, invite them to get started. Remember to make it simple. All right, awesome. You know, if you're ready to get started, we can do that right now or whenever you're ready. I like to say it like that, or however the conversation determines. And most people don't realize it's a simple, easy process. If not yet, Susan covered follow-up. Awesome. Let them know how you're going to follow up with them. Do some of those great things that she was talking about here. This is on the back of that share form. Most of the time, it's a yes if we're talking, or it's a about to get started. You know, it's like that. So these are the last questions I ask as I'm wrapping up. It's letting them know how it's going to go and finding out a little bit more and layering in depth how we're going to work together. I don't ask, like Lindsay said, I don't ask, do you have any other health considerations? People are adults. They know how to eat food. Okay. Like, I just ask them, like, is there anything like that we need to, like, any other questions or anything that you also have going on medical-wise? This also gives me a chance that maybe they're even more comfortable now, or maybe they forgot something earlier in the conversation. Gives them a second chance to bring up some more things that matter to them. They'll probably get one more thing that really is important to them at this part of the conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to know about, or anything else I should know about your health? These are just great random questions you can ask as you're finishing up. Lastly, is there anyone that would like to get healthy with you? Like, layering referrals from the start, layering that coaching, helping people think about other people from the very get-go. That's so key. Then, like, that's pretty much it. So they're ready to go, grab their information. All I need from you to get set up is, where would you like your program shipped to, and what card do you want it on? Like, that is the simple way and the classy way of just making it easy for them to choose health, and they chose health. So that's really good. And again, don't try to make it happen any specific way. This is just a good flow. I mean, you just need their email address, because that's going to be their username. Lastly, layer referrals. I love to do this because it explains that I am so confident that they're going to do well on plan. It's just as much about creating referrals and opening that brain space for coaching as it is for me to be like, you are going to do well at this. It's affirming to them. A lot of people, when they get started, they think, I mean, you guys all know some of you tried things before, some of you didn't, but this is affirming for them to know that you're confident, that you're their guide, this is going to work for them. So layer that in there and then explain what's next. A lot of you guys, the questions this week was like, oh, my clients aren't doing X, Y, Z. Ask yourself, how well did I really lay out how it was going to go with them? You know, let them know when their order will arrive. Let them know to check their email for that welcome email you're going to send. Look around the Facebook page. You're going to add them in there. You know, tell them to get ready to get started and let them know they can reach out to you with anything they need, and to let you know when the program arrives and when they want to get started. Let them know to do that, so it remains really simple. So, Dawn, anything we want to wrap up on this? My PowerPoint freezing ate up some time, so I want to try to make sure we get done on time today. So anything else you want to add to that?
No, Brad, just keep it simple. And I love that you just reminded us you don't have to ask all the questions on there. It's a conversation. And yeah, even for me as a nurse, I have to remind myself, I'm not going to ask them, hey, so what health concerns do you have? I just say, anything else you want to chat about? Susan, you've got your hand up. Did you want to add something?
I was just, I mean, I know we're short on time, but Brad, thank you so much. And I just wanted to drive home the point of setting the expectation of what your coaching looks like on the front end makes a huge impact on their responsiveness to your, weekly calls. So usually if your clients aren't answering your calls or aren't connecting with you week to week on a phone call, and maybe ask yourself, did I set that, just take personal responsibility. Did I set that up well on the front end to let them know what my coaching actually looked like? And if not, and if you can't explain what your coaching looks like in 1 minute, that's actually a big awakening too, that maybe you don't have clarity on what your structure of coaching your clients looks like. So evaluating that so you can actually explain it in 30 seconds. This is what it's going to look like once they say yes, and following through as a professional and setting that expectation on the front end. As I've done more of that, I don't have any pushback from my clients accepting my 5-minute to 10-minute coaching calls because I set that up in the beginning. And I just wanted to add that in.
That is, and I love just the point. Actually, bringing that in, Susan, just shows how it ties all together. Because again, if you're also not explaining it very well, how good is your structure set up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everything wraps into the other. It's this whole symbiosis. Maybe I need more coffee. It's a whole great working relationship, and it flows. That's why you kind of have this culminating effect with consistency and getting this stuff rounded out, also becoming more natural. So great wrap up. Dawn, I think you were also going to just we covered this last week, just the bullet points of why we do the variety pack, because I remember I did custom orders for people, and that was a really bad idea back in the day.
Yeah, and Tim and Kelly and Lindsay covered this awesome, but I'm an example of I almost didn't get started because when my coach signed me up, she went through every single line of everything possible, and it took an hour and a half to place my very first order. I was very determined, and I had chased her down for 4 days to get me ordered, but that was my one experience, and I was like, I don't want to do it that way. So that is why we do the variety pack. It keeps it simple. It keeps it duplicable so that it's easy for someone to just say yes to health, and they don't have to say yes to whether they like chocolate or chocolate mint, or it just keeps it so neat. And it takes the focus off of the food. So they're going to get a variety pack. They're going to get everything they need. It's going to be $12 to $13 a day. They're going to get to figure out their favorites, really, really get into their routine that first month. And then from there moving forward, they get to customize, their second month and all of that. And then, you know what, if they really have some needs, like some things that they need to customize, we've got 5 items we can customize. I know Brad always puts extra bars in. Brilliant. I've started doing that because people need more bars. They're on the go more. And I just let them know it includes their program, their habits of health system, and we're going to dive in to that. But literally, guys, that 10 seconds is exactly how I say it on a health assessment call. What's it going to look like? They're ready to get started. Great. This is what's going to come. And this is why. And then they know everything right then, and they're really set up to know they're going to get the favorites, they're going to get everything they need, and then they get to customize from month 2 on. And then I also let them know, in a couple of weeks, you're going to get an email, and we're going to help you do that. So that's it, Brad. Just super, super simple. I probably 99.9% of my clients get a variety kit, and 100% get the books. Yeah. I do not order someone if they don't get the books. Yeah. They don't, it's not even an option. It all comes together.
Exactly. I just love patterns and everything. And, we help a lot of new coaches get going. And again, if you're not doing this exactly how we're talking, don't sweat it. There's all roads lead to Rome, but this will help more people do the basics. I got a call a couple months ago with someone that was losing a lot of clients and doing a little bit more investigation. Yeah, they're talking all about the food. So all their clients were focused on the food, not talking about any of the other components. And that's why we do a variety pack. They'll figure out another thing that I say, during the month, in case no one's got any clients hey, what do you enjoy most? And they're like, I hate this. And I'm like, well, that's funny because I just asked you what you like, but okay, great. Thanks. Let's rock and roll. I say, awesome. This is literally what I say. Awesome. Sometimes I say this if I can joke around with them. It was worrying about food too much that got me in trouble in the first place. So we're just practicing right now. Depends if they have a sense of humor or not. But I also say that's the whole point of the first month is you're going to find out what you like, what works for your schedule. Like Lindsay pointed out last week, it's just as much about figuring out your routine and getting in the groove and progress over perfection than it is like being perfect. So if anything comes up like this, I let them know. And especially for you people that are still singing like, oh, I'm not listening to what he's talking about, I'm going to keep ordering my food, I don't care about all those other great points that Susan or Dawn made, is that people, the stuff that I love, my clients didn't love. I was like, I'm going to order all my clients bars XYZ. That oatmeal is horrible. No one's going to eat that. And then I had a client that literally ordered like 19 boxes of oatmeal because they loved it so much. So you never know what they're going to like. Their first month, especially if you're posturing right, is about how to set up and find what works for them and setting up an Optavia lifestyle towards what they want, keeping the focus on their health. So great reminder. And plus, again, duplication. You go line order. I'm surprised you even became a coach. An hour and a half going line by line. Yeah, I don't even know how you're here today. That's amazing.
You know what? I was like, hey, I can do this better. You know what I mean? There's got to be a better way. I'm going to help people. Yeah, and then Brad, so just knowing what different plans we have, right? So just knowing the tools in your tool belt, you guys, is going to be great because we have so many different ways we can assist people. Most people who are going to get started are going to want to do the 5-in-1 plan because they've got goals and they want to reach those goals and they want to feel good while reaching them. So duh, the 5-in-1 is the easiest, best way to get there. They feel amazing. They're going to be working on their body comp, but we also have a 4-in-2 or the 4-2-in-1 or the 3-in-3. Don't worry about knowing all the intricacies of these, but just know that they're there. You can hop on and read a little bit about them. I think it's really important this time of year, especially as people are heading into the holidays, but this can happen in the summertime too, as people are heading off on vacation, knowing that the 5-in-1 is not the end all be all, and that our program is eating every 2 to 3 hours, drinking water, getting rest, and we're going to adjust their plan to fit their lifestyle. So as they're heading into the holidays, they have options. And for us to know that they've got those options, is really important. And not forgetting like the nursing moms plan, which is also amazing nutrition for anyone who's pregnant at the time. I followed a version of the nursing moms plan, just eating the fuelings as snacks to keep my nutrition up while I was pregnant. That made a huge difference. So just knowing what we have to offer people is key, and knowing that we can adjust as we go. The performance 5-in-1 plan, that is the 5-in-1, but that's for people who are working out and exercising. And so maybe there's someone who wants to see some body comp changes. And this is something Casey can talk about, even further in the future, but they want to see body comp changes, but they really, really want to not quit doing CrossFit. So we can assist them to feel their best so that they don't have such a big calorie deficit, but we want to make sure that they feel good while they're working out and that they're still seeing progress, right? So Brad, did you want to go in detail over the plans? I just know we're really short on time. And
no, I think just knowing the options makes you more aware, makes you more able to make matches on the people you're focusing on. And I love just the awareness, like nursing mothers. And then when Ashley followed like the nursing mothers while she was pregnant, I was like, like a layout, a structure, something to think about as you're fighting crazy urge. I don't know what you guys go through, but it seems pretty like there's a lot going on. How awesome is it to have good nutrition? So we can't like recommend someone does that, but all it is healthy layout. So it's better than, you guys are probably thinking about what you guys did while you were pregnant. You're like, yeah, it's 1,000,000 times better like than what I was doing. So Susan, popcorn at the movie theater, not to watch a movie, like literally just to get the popcorn. Yeah, we'll cover more on that later. The performance 5-in-1 plan, you can work out at any one of our plans. That is a myth in case you wonder that. We just encourage people to cut in half for the first few weeks as they're getting into the fat burning stage or following one of the plans. You can totally work out on plan. Performance 5-in-1 is just simply, we'll probably have Casey break that down next week for people who have questions on that. Our program is solid nutrition, so it works. But for people that want to do high level of intensity workouts, it's simply just a small modification that really helps people at high performance level. That's literally how awesome our program is. So with the delay, I'm just going to wrap up today by doing this. And that will actually set us up to go in a little bit more in depth into it next week. So I think judging by the chat and all the things sharing here, I think this was still impactful because this is honestly what you want to know how to support your clients really well during the first 30 days. It really breaks down to what we covered, what you do with them before they ever start. So when you're off the phone with them, building trust from day one. you're proving results. People will trust you, not if you're perfect, but like following through and getting trust on what's happening. Like, so place their order, like when you're off the phone, place their order with a variety pack, just click, 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 send them a welcome email, click, click. Hopefully you have that master's file. Welcome to the Facebook page with a post and picture. The more the more energy you can give to it, the more warm welcome lets them know you care. And then just place that health assessment that we talked about right on top of your binder so that when you open it up on your celebration day, it's right there. So I'll cover that in a second as we wrap up here, but people want to know how do we support so many clients without it like going bonkers? It's like, let the structure do the work for you. Like follow Ashley Miller's thing. Like, I think we're all pretty real on here at one point because I'm not naturally structured. For all of you that aren't that way, it's possible. Ashley basically at one point was like, if you don't get your crap together, I'm not gonna work with you anymore. And she was right. I'm glad she could do that because it made my life a lot easier. The only thing I would say for this right now as you guys are starting clients is get familiar with the daily text messages. These ones are key during the first few days. Some of you may not be using them. Some of them, you might not be using all of them like perfectly. Don't worry about it. It's just an added piece to your support that gives them some information. So for those that don't know, if you go to Simple Systems, there's a document that says daily text messages. And so there's great ones like your program's been ordered or the text before that has the video the night before call, all of those things. So utilize those as part of your support and save them as a home screen on your phone. Like I actually just saved the link, put it on my phone. So I just copy and paste those every morning to my clients in the first few days. This is the last thing I'll give you guys, and then we'll break down a little bit more the first 30 days. But while your clients are waiting for their program to arrive, most of the time it takes a week to get the food, depending on where you're at, to get their program. That means there's probably a check-in day if you have your systems between when that person starts and when you place their order. So treat them like a client, even though they're waiting on their food. Their health assessment is right there on top. Send them a message or call them. Use one of the daily text message, which is like building a healthy community, which encourages them to go use their Facebook page. Start to train them from day one. Maybe let them know like, hey, your program arrives on this day. Make sure to remind me when you want to get started so we can talk the night before, like reinforcing what we talked about. You can do all of these things, or honestly, none of them. You told them to have them call you when they're ready to get started. So, but it's just a cool thing to do that really sets the tone, that helps you remember that they're there and lets them know that you're going to be there for the support and reinforcing how it's going to look. So again, a lot of you guys, like Susan mentioned, if you're really wondering, like, as you're getting your coaching down, like maybe why some people aren't following through or it's a little bit wishy-washy, this automatic structure helps people really fall into the routine and makes coaching really simple for yourself. So that's what I would say as we wrap up here today. Let's just practice that this week. If you're not using the daily text message yet, get set up to utilize them. We'll go into a little bit more next week and like really in depth what the first 30 days looks like. But this is really 101 basics. And I'm talking to the people that are doing it. At 100 plus people here on the line today, with a delay a little bit longer, but just staying with the basics. You guys are doing the deal. So this is what I'm gonna leave you with as we wrap up here today. These are the action steps for week 4. If you're really learning the routine and just kind of want to know what the top things to be doing. If you haven't done a mid-month pulse check on your business yet, do that. Find the freedom of what it looks like to set that in your schedule and have that clarity. And if you haven't connected with your support team, to do so. Stay connected, like Susan said, on building connections. You're 3, 3, and 3. Here's a heads up. On December 13th is the #1 day people choose what diet they're doing in the new year. Don't wait till the new year for having them thinking about you. Decide on what you'd like to accomplish by the end of the month, another practice of structure, because if you know where you want to go, it's funny how the things fall into place. Check in with your clients this week. This is the last thing that we'll leave you with because this is very applicable for all you guys getting really good groove. They are about to go to Thanksgiving, a long weekend, a lot of stuff going on, traveling. So on your celebration day this week, now that you know the plan options, now that you know their goals, ask them what they would like their plan to be for Thanksgiving and collaborate with them. Help them learn to choose health, utilizing our structure. And again, for a lot of people, this is like their freedom into realizing they're not going to gain their weight back because you're giving them an option on how to do it. Or maybe you're going to encourage them to stay. I don't know what's going to happen. Listen to your clients and guide them based on what they're saying, knowing what tools you have. Have some fun with branding. Remember that people are going to overeat and kill themselves on Thursday. They're going to be thinking about you probably on Thursday night or Friday morning. I was thinking about joking around with Black Friday because most people wear black when they're not feeling at their best health-wise. So it's a different kind of Black Friday. So maybe have some fun with branding on that, like because people are wearing black, not they're ready to change their health. You guys get the joke. Just some fun this weekend, being cognizant that a lot of people are going to be probably ready to do something. Lastly, lead with your health and stay consistent. But I'm preaching to the choir right now. So you guys keep doing the basics. I just want to congratulate you guys all for doing the stuff. Incredible. Like literally can't give you guys enough props. That's the action steps this week. Appreciate the chat and everything. Thank you, Susan, Kelly, and Dawn for chiming in. We'll dive in a little bit more into the nutrition plans and supporting your clients like weekly next week as we wrap up this month. Talk to you guys later.
Hey Brad, we're still going to do a little huddle up after this, right?
Yeah, for anyone, stop record.